what would you like to see happen in the next 5 years?
I think it would be wonderful if our community has come together to define for ourselves what success looks like, what sustainability, resiliency, whatever words you want to use there, that we've come up with the new metrics, that we have a way of looking at ourselves, and instead of saying what's the growth rate in our the GDP or the growth rate in our tax revenues, how are we growing, but more so in how are we evolving as a society and as a species, and looking at, even in the next 5 years, things like how have we responded to the economic downturn? How many children are getting a better education as a result? How many seniors are going to bed with a full belly? How many of our most vulnerable people getting the health care that they require? You know, looking at new metrics, and these metrics are being defined by the community. And this is how we're kind of setting our sights and moving forward. And if we do that, then I think, not sitting here saying in 5 years we're going to be having X% of people riding the bus, you know, we're going to be defining that and doing it as we go.
Mm-hmm. In the next 5 years, I'd like to see many more local people become involved in L2020 and L2020 action groups. WSU helped establish an organization called Roadie Revolution, which is run by kids that graduated from Port Townsend High School, went away, have come back, and are trying to make lives for themselves and their families here in their 20s and 30s, and are very excited about the opportunities and their ability to do so. And I'd like to see L2020 get more involved with that kind of, what I would call, more youthful element in the community.
I'd like to see us take current inventory of housing that is 98, 99% of all housing that's out there, and really push it to the point that it is much more energy efficient than it currently is. In my profession, we work very hard at making new buildings energy efficient and more sustainable and easy on the environment and natural resources. But it's a drop in the bucket compared to what is out there in existing housing stock. I think probably one of our biggest learning curves is going to be, how do we make those existing homes, especially for people who are on limited incomes, more energy efficient, more sustainable, longer lasting. It's not an easy answer. I think that a lot of investment will go into just that, because we can't go out and tear down all these old houses and replace them. It can't be done.
I think we already are seeing huge issues with water. And we, as East County, need to figure out how we're going to deal with that. This is a beautiful place to live. And right now there are only 30,000 people, 28,000 people in Jefferson County. But as we see the climate continue to change, more and more people are going to want to be here. And that's going to put more and more pressure on the land, and it's going to put more and more pressure on the water. And we need to figure out how to deal with that now.
Well, for one thing, getting the vote on Proposition 1 was just the first step, actually. Because I'd like to see the acquisition of the grid, and then finding ways to create incentives for people in the community to get access to energy conservation and efficiency modalities. We can look at these as problems, or we can look at them as opportunities. And that's the way I want to see us go. If something negative seems to be on the horizon, it's how do we turn that around and turn that into an asset and not a negativity.
The next 5 years, I don't think, what I'd like to see and what we have to do is we have to cut our energy by half. It's through usage, it's through collecting more, using renewable resources. It's the whole picture. And I think only from there can we talk about, what it's doing to the environment.
So I would like Port Townsend to become more, get its act together more, to have Local 2020 become more of a household word, for more and more neighborhoods and families and individuals to be committed to take the steps needed to implement the changes towards a more sustainable life. I'd like to see people get comfortable with the idea of staying put rather than thinking of having to travel all over Kingdom Come as a lifestyle. I definitely would like to see people eating more and more and more local food. To me, the healthcare system needs to be informed by the natural foods industry because much of what we eat is not good for us. I don't even think of probably 80 or 90% of what's sold in the major grocery stores as food even. There's lots of things I'd like to see happen in the next 5 years. Probably not realistic, but that's the dreamer part of me. You know, I can see into the future and see how it can be, and I want that right now, but we have to work for it. So.
It would be great if we could double the amount of food that we grow out here on the peninsula for ourselves. The Smart Trips program that the Local 2020 Transportation Action Group is trying to get started with the county and the transit agency to get more people out of their vehicles and into alternative modes of transportation.
I'd like to see us move more towards earth community, I think. I'd like to see Port Townsend as a model of change. I think there are a number of communities like Port Townsend around the nation. I think actually a great project would be for somebody to write a book on alternative progressive communities and what their struggles are and have greater linkage between these communities so we can learn from each other. As we make ourselves more known, we're going to bring in more people that are interested in doing the kind of things that we want to do. Success will generate more success. And so I would like us to move more in that, in a community that values people more than profits, cooperation more than competition, and have Port Townsend just serve as a model for change.